All right, welcome to the Transparent Podcast, episode 6. Mike, welcome.
Thank you very much, Daniel. This is great to be on your podcast, man. I'm sorry that I haven't yet.
What?
I haven't yet watched the other one.
Yeah, the amount of links I've sent you, mate.
Well, I'm busy. You know how it is.
Fair enough,
right?
fair enough.
It's how it works. You're busy. And look, I looked at a little bit and I'm like.
The thumbnail.
I'll go on. Plus, I'm doing this as a friendly gesture to you.
Yeah, you are. I appreciate that. It's funny, like a lot of my audience probably don't know, like in your community, which is like the digital art world, you're very well known. And that's not why I've got you here today, obviously, because we have a lot of interesting conversations, which we'll get into.
Yeah.
But you're very well known for like a lot of the work you've done on like Horizon Zero Dawn. So people listening probably know that game, a bunch of stuff like that. But again, that's not why I have you here.
Okay.
You know what? You're the only full-grown man that I can have a 3-hour conversation with on the phone
about
about just everything, and it's not weird.
Yeah, but, and I'm not talking about what I do, right? I believe in that. It's everything. We need to discuss more than kind of your job, because everyone has everyone's going through the same thing. When everyone is curious, like we're not. We project that we are. Like we have an external kind of projection to the world, and that external projection is that everything's good, right? And I'm like, look, man, I'm going through this shit. I'm not going good here, there. Just to show that I'm vulnerable. Just like I think we all project like we have our shit together, and that's probably the worst thing you can do, because then ultimately you end up feeling lonely in that process of thinking that I'm going to be able to like just show the good side of me. And you don't like go and just bog people down with your emotional crap, because you should be dealing with that too. But it's, yeah.
And I think like what we said before, like before we started the podcast, is like weaknesses that I have, you seem to have strengths, and it's the other way around. Weaknesses that you have, I seem to have strengths. So we have conversations that are constantly on the premise of bettering each other and just sharing experiences. And it's a good, that's why we literally will have a conversation about 3 hours just talking about progress.
Yeah.
Life progress. And that's probably the best conversation you can have.
Yeah. What I've learned is that you never know, you never know what anyone else is thinking, right? So you don't bother trying, right? So like when you tell me something, go, oh, that person's thinking this, I'm like, I don't care. Because I'll just let whatever happen. But whatever happening, say if something happens that is like bad, I will remain calm. I won't act on my emotions of feeling sad or angry or whatever, because when you don't go to those emotions, which are very easily to fall into, you will be able to deal with the situation. And so that's something that I've learned a lot lately is,
that a bit, and I know, and we'll get into that exactly why I think that you've learned that, and something that that idea of restraint, discipline, the ability to have power over circumstances where you would usually act out of impulse. And this is a good segue.
Yeah.
You know where I'm going with this, but we won't go into specific topics just yet. But essentially, a lot of the stuff we have conversations about is that concept of discipline, self-discipline, not falling victim to quick pleasures, just having restraint, and your ability to call on that restraint when it's needed, instead of doing what you might always do, which is just go with it. Because there's a lot of times in life where you really need to not just go with it.
Yeah.
And before we get into specific topics about what ways to actually start getting better at that, was there a time, bring me back to a time where you were the definition of chaos, and then you started to kind of
chaos.
Yeah. Well, before you started to get order in your discipline, and what kind of lifestyle were you leading? Because you were partying a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's when I was doing like heavily into gym and work and making a lot of money at the same time. And those are bad cocktails.
Yeah.
And you're dating around people and you're making excuses as to why you're doing such things. It's like, oh, I'll see this person and see that person, but I'll tell them about it. And so it's fine, right? So you can justify it, and you're making reasons like, oh, maybe monogamy is not not for me, and polyamory and something like that. And you're justifying all these interactions to like feed your addiction. And when you're ultimately addicted to things like sex, you are justifying those actions. When you have it's like your wants, like wanting it, right? You say if you meet a chick and you just want something that is like, you're looking at them, I just want sex from them. And if you're doing that with every person that you meet, and then you see that person, you're like, oh, they're attractive, I want some sex, right? I want. And then
so you're programming your mind to, kind of the moment that you see that female, you're aligning the idea of her with sex, not what it should probably be.
Well,
that this is a person.
Yeah, it's a person. Like, what are they going through? Right? And you're like, you're just listening to them, waiting to get to the point where you're going to get what you need.
Exactly.
Or want. Well, not need. I would say it's a want, right? Because you could go without sex. Like you could go indefinitely without having sex, but we don't choose that because it's too hard, right? And it's you're not like, if you were to really take those precautions out, where safe sex, like condoms and all those things, and you were actually to have sex with somebody, the chance of getting someone pregnant is going to be way higher than not. So when you take away those things of, if you meet someone, you're like, do you have a condom, right? Are you on the pill, right? So then all those things, those risk factors are taken away, so you can remain being a dick, right? And go and get your want.
Yeah.
Right. But if you take that away, you go, do you need a baby from this? Right. The interaction with the person that you're with.
Yeah.
And you're thinking, well, no.
Yeah.
No. Like,
and yeah, definitely. And let me clarify, because if I heard this conversation, or just how far we've gone now, 2 months ago, I'd be like, get out of here, cult leader. Like, come on. Sex is fine. I'll do whatever I want.
Do what you want.
But the thing is, it's not just the idea of you're having sex. It's the idea that you're falling victim to a quick pleasure. You want a quick hit. This person isn't really anything to you. You're using her as your pleasure hit. And that's not a good thing.
Yeah.
That's a weakness. That's fucking weak. And like I said to you on the way here, if you're a type of person that you're in some sort of position, whatever it is, visually, your status, and you just so happen to be in that position where you have the ability to attract the opposite sex easily, let's say, and you're doing that, and you're using that, and you're fucking, and you're just using the opposite sex for your quick pleasure hit, that's fucking weak. That's weak.
You fall prey to doing these things because you're trying to, if you can't not do those things, right? And you're saying it's like, it's weak. It is weak because you're like, essentially you're covering up something, your weakness, right? And you're covering up with other people. Yes. You know, people eat and overeat food.
Exactly same thing. Yeah, it is. It really
same
is.
Thing,
yeah.
Right. And the human condition is dealing with situations that you're going through. And this is why I've gone through and I cleaned up everything, right? I don't, like, you still have to look at my fridge.
Oh,
right?
man.
You think I got sugar
for people listening, Mike came to my house. I will put it on paper. Someone follow me around. I eat better than 99.9% of people in Australia. I have 1 tablespoon of Nutella in the fucking morning with my oats, and Mike goes, you need to cut this out. I said, man, I'm going to follow you for a week. I guarantee I eat better than you.
No way.
Dude.
And that's why I was like, you can come have a look. And
I will.
Yeah.
I will be.
Basically, it sounds like I'm just like culling everything that's enjoyable in my life, but I'm culling it for a reason to have a proper reflection of how I think and behave in the world. And what I realize is that even having like things like caffeine, right, it masks my emotions to feeling something that I should be feeling, believe it or not. And then, like, I've tested it. Like the other couple of days ago, I had a coffee, and it was getting me through it's getting me through a tough situation, but it's also making me default back to certain behaviors that I would get more moody or angry for situations instead of being patient with it. and I'm just like, I'm defaulting back. Like it whatever default wiring that I have is being triggered by the caffeine hit and dopamine hit I'm getting from that. And what I've realized is that if I cut those things, I also have to upregulate my own energy as well. So I'm not going, okay, man, I'm
not
tired.
relying on that. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm tired. And go, well, if you want to stay up longer and work harder, you have to build that as well. So cutting, this is what I was saying to you. If you cut all these things out, you know how we're talking about Hoffman, right? And being that ability to go on the cold and withstand it, right? He's not doing anything apart from using himself to get in the cold and not freeze to death.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? You should be able to stay awake. You could probably stay awake for 2 days and do what you need to do without coffee.
Yeah, definitely. Right?
But we rely on all these external
You'd have a headache, but you'd get through it.
Oh, no, you'd have a headache with coffee the next day.
Dude, right? If I don't have a coffee for a day, I'll have a headache.
Yeah, but that's why you're getting the headaches.
I know.
Yeah.
Yeah,
so, and the thing is, you'll notice that you're dehydrated. Once you're always having caffeine, you're naturally dehydrated all the time. And you'll get, it's almost like you're a withdrawal from it and you get really thirsty and your headaches and all that stuff.
Yeah.
So, but yeah.
Yeah, I definitely agree completely. But with that said, I fucking love my coffee, man. Why are you trying to take that from me?
It's not cutting.
Why are you trying to take my coffee, bro?
It's
my one thing.
Controlling it.
Yeah, I agree. Right? Completely. Yeah.
And what you teach yourself eventually is like, I can not have the coffee.
Yeah, of course. So essentially when Corona hit, gyms closed, a lot of things like in terms of life patterns changed and you had to analyze differently. Yeah,
you took the only sanity point away.
Yeah.
Yeah, right?
Or the thing that's like keeping the stability in the chaos.
Yes. And the thing is, once you take that away, I actually was like, me. Why can't I go to the gym? I'm going insane. I'm this and this and this, right? But what it proves to me is that, because I had a good opportunity to really quit coffee then, because I didn't need to use it to go to the gym. And then quitting it and quitting everything else is that you end up going, man, I'm a dick. Like, I'm an asshole. Like, I go to the gym, make myself look good to think that will get approval of, someone else.
Right. And to clarify, not everyone's like that. That's not the because we're talking about this on the way. Let's talk about a bit of the gym stuff and the validation associated with going to the gym. Not everyone's like that, but there's a part that can be attached to going to the gym, which is you're chasing not validation, but you want to feel better about yourself because you feel like there's other parts of you that are missing.
Yeah.
Right. And you're trying to center that together.
But you're complete, man. You are. Like, you're going to be as complete as you're going to be, and the rest is just you maintaining and improving on it. We all, how like mothers go, oh, you're the most beautiful baby ever. I mean, you just have to accept whatever you are, right?
Exactly. Well, let's talk about a subject that people are definitely going to think that we're cult leaders. And I'm not saying I'm a part of the cult, and I'm saying it's not a cult, but no fap.
No fap.
And before we go into it, like the principle behind it, I stand for, and I'm trying to be apart slightly, but I have no intentions of being completely apart.
Yeah.
But essentially, no jacking off. Is it no sex? No porn.
Look, it's going full hardcore mode will teach you what the hell you're doing, right?
So that means no jacking off, no sex, no porn.
Yeah. If you want the full benefits of it, you do full, like nothing.
Give us a 80-second breakdown of the benefits of that.
Energy. Confidence. Like, you feel like you're on hormones. You do. You feel like you're on hormones. You go to the gym and you feel like you're on hormones, weirdly enough. Or
even an interesting way that you broke it down the way here, you said, what do you feel like when you don't jack off or you don't whatever? And I'm like, oh, just like, I'm kind of like on edge. I'm like, if someone like brushes up against me, I'm like, and you're like, exactly, keep that, but channel it.
Channel it.
Yeah, I guess.
Use it.
Yeah.
Because it's easy to, so when you have, say if you have like a thing with work and you're stressing out, man, you want to go jack off. All right? But don't. Like, take the energy in for the stressful situation, for the work, and just be like, okay, this is stressing me out. Let me look at it, right? If you have a wank, you get high, right? And it puts you in a higher situation. Now I can deal with that emotional stress or whatever stressor that is coming onto your life that you can get out. That's not a good thing.
So you're using that kind of to blanket stress. Like a lot of people do it. Yeah, like if you're anxious or something's going on now, just go have a wank or something because you feel a quick hit. Like, I feel good for a sec, and then.
Have you done it?
If I were to analyze it, I'm sure I
Yeah.
would have. I'm sure everyone
Yeah.
because essentially you feel good for a sec,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm sure that subconsciously I've done it at times like that without even realizing.
Yeah. And it lasts like a day or two.
What do you mean?
So like,
Well, you're
the
jacking
high-
off for a day or two straight.
No, the high.
Oh, okay.
The high
Oh.
feeling, the stress release for about a day, and then you got to feel like you need to chase it again. Yeah.
From
It's like
more like
chasing
20
drugs.
seconds.
Well, I mean, in the sense that you could go another day and then the urges come back.
Right.
Well, okay. I'll
Oh, yeah, I'm
explain.
with you. I understand
Yeah.
what you're saying. So
You
yeah.
You feel like you have to do it the next day. You know, like
Okay.
people every day, I got to do it every day.
Yes.
You know how you have that? It's like,
Yeah.
oh, everyone wanks off once a day,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
like,
yeah.
no, you don't have to. Like, I don't know how many days it's been now for me, but
How long has it been? If you had to
Well,
think.
for my birthday, I thought, fuck it.
Oh,
I did
really?
it, yeah.
Oh, okay. But before
So-
that, what's like your longest break?
I think like maybe 6 weeks.
6 weeks.
Yeah,
I
I'm
feel
not
sorry for
even-
the girl after the 6 week.
I'm not even up there.
Oh, Jesus.
So I'm not
Christ.
I'm not even up there. And soon enough, you probably get things like wet dreams. You can't help it.
What?
Yeah. So you'll get to a
See,
point.
this is why I can't go this deep. I'm not having wet dreams, man. Don't
you're a
don't put me in that
teenager.
position, bro.
You'll go through. It's basically, look, you can have.
The reality of a wet dream as well. You're not having a wet dream. It's like sex. It's always something weird.
Yeah.
It's like a fucking plant
Yeah.
rubs up against your dick or something, and you blow.
Look, you can wank, but what is it? This is meant to teach you restraint. That's all it's meant to teach.
Exactly.
You,
That's
right?
why I like the idea.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can. The thing is, though, if you can't make the choice and go today, I won't do it, then tomorrow I will. Like, if you can't just be like, I'm not going to do it, then you haven't got really your shit together.
Yes.
Because you're going out of a stressor and being like, I'm stressed, let's do it. Next time if you're stressed, don't go towards that. Don't go towards even anything like eating, because you could go. What can happen is that, say if you're not wanking anymore, you channel it into eating or like sitting on Instagram or something
Anything,
else.
yep.
Anything else. So that energy, you know, that little shaky energy that you're getting, dude, that can transfer. It can transfer into other things.
Yeah.
So that's why I told you, if you have Nutella around the house, it might just go onto more Nutella.
Don't get me started on the Nutella.
Dude, I used to eat big Lebanese rolls of Nutella, like thick and like, you know,
Bro.
just oozes.
I said this. Let's both take our shirts off and then see who eats healthier. All right?
Hey, I'm not all hormoned up.
Don't give me that
I'm all
excuse.
natural
Do not
these
give me that
days.
excuse. All right. So Corona, you started getting your shit together. You started not jacking off.
Being natural, being all natural.
Yep.
Look, I wasn't even in that camp of like, I got gold fillings, right?
Oh, here we go. I know where this is segueing.
I got gold fillings. You know why? Because the plastic leaches BPA.
Yeah.
And so, well, I want the most natural component like put into my mouth. And I'm like, well, it doesn't look great. And I'm like, fuck it. Like, I don't want to have anything that will bleach any more BPA into my body. And I had amalgam fillings in there, like mercury, right? So I already have a big dose of mercury, and that shit is devastating to the body. And it sits in you for like 23 years. It does not come out of you easily. And so I have to do a sauna every third or second day to sweat out the mercury, because that stuff is devastating for your health. Really, really bad. Like Tony, you know Tony Robbins?
Yep.
He had mercury poisoning from eating too much fish and having the fillings. And he was going to die.
Really?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. He would die from mercury poisoning. It's poison.
That's full on.
Yeah. So like the craziness of it, and I'm like, man, okay, if I'm going to do the right choice and I want to be all natural, this is why like no more hormones, like no more sugary foods, like everything I eat is all just boom, 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 natural. Like I don't even put crap on my chicken anymore, just put olive oil on it and it's done, right? The thing is, if I can do that as much as possible, I can then have my life as natural as possible. And I know with you, you're like, just do it if it makes you happy and stuff. I'm like,
Do what? Then it's people don't know. I react like this because we've had this conversation so many times.
I'm pretty much doing what, Because if I look for an external thing to make me happy, I'll probably be unhappy.
100%.
So, and I always believe that you can never, nothing's ever good enough. It's like working on a piece of artwork, never good enough. So if anything that you do for yourself, or you could work out to and get as big as you want, right? You hear that about bodybuilders. They get so big and they're still not like satisfied.
Definitely.
Right?
We're talking about that. Even the same with people like that won the lotto. Their levels of happiness are lower after generally like a few years, but
it's the aspiration, right?
Yeah, and again, that I think in regards to the lotto, it's like you don't have a chase anymore. What are you trying to work for? Yeah,
it's like building up. So say with this podcast, you're enjoying this process more than perhaps maybe being on top of
100%.
The thing is, you mentally can never get. You should never get on top of anything. Like I did that. That's why I did that with work, and I thought I was on top of everything. And then as soon as you realize you're on top, you think you're on top of something, you just have a big crash.
Big time. Because you get complacent.
Everything in your life that if you ever think that you're complete, you know, it's like Fight Club, man. You've seen that?
Yes.
How many times have you seen it?
Probably 6 years ago, and I watched like half of it.
You got to watch properly.
Brad Pitt.
Properly. Like, watch it proper. Like, have a proper look at it, because each and every time, so like even Brad Pitt said, each and every time you watch a movie again, you take something new from it because you're in a different frame of mind. And so if you watch that again, you go watch it, like guarantee it, you'll get 100 times more out of it watching it again now, because the way that's written, it's written by someone who has a lot of retrospective, and it's not just one person bringing everything together and stuff like that. It's pretty much saying that, you know, if you watch Fight Club and you have various scenes, like, you know, Brad Pitt, he's pointing a gun to the back of the store clerk's head and saying, "What do you want to be in your life?" And he's saying veterinary. He's like going to shoot him, right? He's like, "Why haven't you pursued that yet?" He's like, just other reasons. And we make all these other reasons in our life to not do it. Like, you're making reasons to eat Nutella, right? When deep down, we know it's not good for you, right? And you could live without it, and you could go pursue a life without it, and you probably feel better. The thing is, people end up not pursuing the things they want because of fear, think they can't live without certain things. And that's what, like, I cut everything. I didn't think I could live without caffeine. I have sidetracked from that movie, but saying that whatever you do in life, where you're trying to make yourself happy through materialistic stuff, trying to seek out sex, trying to seek out validation through anything, always end up unhappy.
Oh, big time. Yep, definitely.
Yeah.
And what the question should be as well, like a lot of things where you have to have a big realization, it's almost like something has to happen, because otherwise you would have already had the realization. And for myself personally, like I can say, like I recently had got out of a relationship, and the time alone, because when you're with someone, you're just with someone. You're not with yourself as much. And the time where I've had to just be myself, all these realizations start coming in. All of these like deep realizations where it fucking hurt. And I realized that like I'm using a bunch, and this is why like I resonate with what you're preaching so much, because I realize a lot of the shit I do is chasing a quick hit. Like I'm trying to constantly feel better from external sources. And like I feel like I'm on the uphill now. Like I'm feeling a lot better just being a person, but it had to take something for me to have that realization. Like, how can guys have a realization without some sort of pain initially?
You don't. It's all painful.
So it almost like something has to happen.
You have to hurt to learn.
Yeah.
Like, you really have to hurt. If you don't go through pain, there's nothing to gain. It's like if you go to the gym, there's no pain. You're not going to learn how to lift that weight and get bigger. You wouldn't. And like even sitting down and working for hours and hours, it's kind of hurts. Like your brain gets tired. Like you watch your kind of like that concentration of you having to sit there, and you're like, you want to do everything but that. And you got to understand that. So when you're sitting on the computer and you're like working away, you're not necessarily going and like doing anything physical, but you adapting your concentration to sit and build up that stamina for like that period of time. You know, you could sit down the first day and do 3 hours, and then you can add another 3 hours maybe in a week or so. But some people can't do it. They you know, some people can't sit down for longer than an hour, and they get nothing done. So, and yeah,
a way might even be like if let's I don't want to like just be talking about one gender, but just say like a guy has all the traits of someone that chases quick fixes. It's almost like they would have to, like if they were sitting there, it would almost be, ask yourself, are you doing that? Are you chasing quick fixes? Can you be alone? Can you not jack off? Can you not do the things that you do every single day? Try it. And if you try it and it hurts to do that, then something's wrong.
Well, try and not go out on Saturday or Friday.
Yeah. Whatever your thing is, whatever your thing is. Yeah. People like, that's probably a popular one. People that go out and do drugs. Like I go out every now and then, but that's not my thing. I have other issues that I'm working on.
Yeah.
And so try not to do the thing that you always fucking do. And see how that feels. And if it hurts, that's a sign you need to switch it up.
And when you cut those things that kind of numb you, like going out will numb you, right? Because you're not alone, right? And so when I started doing the no fat thing, I'd get like flashbacks. I'd be like, I wake up or like going to bed because you're going through withdrawals. Right? Going
if you're not jacking off and you're having flashbacks, that's
flashbacks to how like selfish I was with other people, and how I pursued those things,
100%.
Because it almost unlocked my subconscious mind to like those feelings and emotions of being a certain way. And it's like I was saying that to you. I'm not sure I was saying that to you the other day, that I think we store everything that we've ever done. We store it no matter what, and we it's like your brain will hold you accountable to the things that you do, bad or good, right? You're held account. Like there is it's like a list of things. Like if you did this bad, right, you're going to be accountable for it because you have I believe we all have this like default moral compass, and some like I'm saying this is the general normal population, not people like psychopaths and things like that. That's a different story. But I think we all have a general good moral compass. We know good and bad.
Definitely.
Right? And like there was a lot of bad things that I did, selfishness and all that crap, and those things came back. I'm like, did that to that person. I did that to and it's just like, wow, that's weird. I would never think about those things. But it's because I stopped having all these things to mask my dickness. So.
And it doesn't sound like it doesn't sound like someone that don't know what we're talking about. It almost doesn't sound like that could happen. Like you could have realizations by stopping and jacking off and stopping doing these pleasures. But it's true because I've cut back on my pleasures and I've had an immense amount of realizations. Like I've stopped doing the things that, like you said, mask the reality.
Numbing.
Yeah.
It's the numbingness of it. Yeah.
And it's been like crazy, like realizations.
Yeah.
And what was I going to say? I fucking forgot. But
well, dude, man, you're just starting.
Yeah,
100%. You're low level.
Yeah, I'm like a level 1, like Pokemon kind of. It's found in the grass.
And so I'm still like half level. I've still got a bunch more to go through. And this is, look, I wake up every morning and I have like a feeling of like, it's weird, like pain. I'm like, good, I need that, right? And then I'm feeling that pain, and I'm like, well, before I would be like waking up, I have the feeling of like, man, I just want to have a wank, or like you want to have a coffee, or just something dumb. And I'm just like, well, you got to wake up, and you can't do none of those things. You have to regulate your own energy. There's nothing really nice to eat in your fridge except like chicken and veggies and fruit. Maybe you got some watermelon, but that's about it. So like there's nothing that I can sit and spoil myself and numb myself to. So that for me, I better fucking grow and I better grow strong. And that's what you're talking about, weakness. Yes. Dude, if you eat like me, you'll be even stronger.
Oh my God. Dude,
I'm gonna
you make me.
convince you for a
There's
month.
one thing that makes me angry. It's when you say, like, "I know I eat better than you," but anyway, I just remember what I was going to say as well. Is it's easier to do the easy thing, which is usually the wrong thing. Like that you said, when you wake up and you feel that pain, it's easier just to jack off or to try and mask it. Fucking, I don't want to deal with that.
Yeah.
But to identify it and go, what is that? What is that feeling and why am I feeling it? And trying to sort that out. It is hard. You have to face some truths that you're probably buried.
Dude, life is hard.
Oh, fucking hell. And that's why we were talking about social media as well. Like, we're all fucked in our own way. Like, that's me and you. We would be considered people that relatively have life together and we're doing all right. But we're fucked.
Yeah.
Everyone's fucked. But you got your shit together, but it ain't easy. And you got your own issues.
Yeah.
Imagine if someone had no issues. And I'm sure someone's listening to this like, I don't have any issues. Fuck you. Because you're lying. If someone right now is listening going, I have no issues.
Yeah. The perfect person.
You're a liar.
The perfect person.
The perfect person. Come on.
Ideal person that you want to date, right? The perfect person.
The unicorn. There's a unicorn somewhere.
That's why it's a fairy tale.
Yeah, that's why it's called a unicorn. Yeah, exactly. It's not real. You know what else is interesting? And I kind of started to look into this before I actually met you. And we'll even look this up, Jacob. Mewing. Because you're big on like not just mental, but physical alignment and a lot of things like that.
Yeah.
And posture. And for people that don't know what mewing even is, we'll pull it up now. Let's pull up some, mewing transformations or something.
Mike Mew.
Who's that?
Mike Mew.
Oh, is that the guy that invented it?
Yeah.
Well, can you give like people listening a bit of a breakdown of what it even is?
So oral posture, really important. Like, so I had like an underbite starting, right? And basically I used to keep my tongue in the bottom of my mouth. So my jaw, like my posture is all fucked up. Like I'm all crooked, my nose is a little bit crooked, my eyesight, like I squint one eye. And so what I realized is like my tongue was always sitting in the bottom of the mouth, so this would grow out. And basically when you're raised, you get taught to, you're meant to breastfeed, get breastfed for 2 years. So you develop a full face, right? And chewing food, crunchy food, so all your teeth kind of come in line, and hopefully, well, if all your teeth fall out accordingly how they should, that your teeth don't kind of, if your baby teeth don't fall out, your adult teeth will come through and then they're coming crooked. And there's a combination, if you're hanging your tongue like that, you'll have crooked teeth also.
Sure.
And it actually changes the whole growth of your face.
Yeah.
So, you mentioned Brad Pitt. Incredibly good oral posture.
Yeah.
Right? And he keeps his jaw and his teeth together. Nice big jaw.
Yeah.
And he has really good neck posture.
Yeah.
And so your tongue posture is represent like where you keep your tongue and your posture overall, because your tongue's the strongest muscle. I'm pretty sure it's the strongest muscle in your body, right? So keeps you a good posture. And so people with good oral posture usually have good posture in some form.
And for people like, so the proper posture, and this was the easy way for me to understand, was someone goes, say sing. And then where you hold the G is where you're meant to hold your tongue on the top of the roof of your mouth, essentially.
Oral posture.
And your mouth closed and breathe through your nose.
Yeah, it's not behind your teeth. Like you don't.
Yeah, no, it's on the roof.
On the roof.
Yeah.
Two-thirds, so at the back. So you go sing. It's really hard to keep your tongue there.
It is.
And you'll eventually do it, and you keep your teeth very slightly touched together.
Yeah.
And that's how you have a good oral posture. And it will eventually, your teeth will shift and move. But the younger you are doing it, the quicker the result. So if you start doing it in your 20s, you'll get a result. In your 30s, it'll slow down.
Yeah.
But it's never too late to start.
Again, people are going to think we're freaking cult people, but it's a real deal.
Yeah,
it's not like we're not just talking smack. It's an actual thing. And I realize, because I have a real lazy tongue and I'm always just like being lazy. I've always got my mouth open and shit. I'm like, that's why it drew me to it. I'm like, oh, you're actually meant to hold your mouth and your tongue in a proper position.
And teeth together.
Yeah.
And this is why I think you got your wisdom teeth pulled, because they didn't grow, no space to grow in, partially. So your teeth will just, well, they get impacted into the mouth, and then they can't come through. So yeah, it's crazy.
Write in MEW?
MEWING.
Just write MEW and then transformation or something. Go to images, yeah.
Yeah, there's so much on it, and it's a big deal, huge.
See, there's some dudes that are like trying to act like they're my sick jawline now. Like that's not the concept that I'm interested. I'm interested in the idea that it actually is. Yeah, like look at that.
Yeah, it transforms your face.
You just have a lot better posture. And when you have better posture,
well, it's a whole body thing.
Yeah.
Like, so you got to remember feet are really important, which is a whole different topic.
Keep going down, Jacob. Like, see that girl? Go down. Left with where her eyes are blanked out. Yeah.
Yeah.
And like that's your spine as well. Like she's pushing her chin. Like naturally, her chin was like kind of inwards.
You've ever look? So people who've had braces is not the best deal, because sometimes people who had braces, they can put pressure on the pituitary gland and they grow too tall. Crazy, right? Because you're artificially pushing the jaw somewhere where you shouldn't. And I think you can get scoliosis from it because you're pushing the jaw forward, kinking the spine. So if you mess with this and you go, hey, I'm going to come in here and push the teeth around where I want them to be, you're pushing the whole body down because the spine has to agree with those movements.
Definitely.
And this is why feet are also important. So if you're like flat-footed and you're not using your feet correctly, I had one foot that has a bit of a fallen arch, and I was crooked, and that caused a bunch of issues amongst just working its way up. So you get a pelvic tilt, and then you get a bad back. Like you've got a bit of flat. You got flat feet.
I do, and I have a spine issue as well that's affected my one side. So this is again why I'm interested in this, because I'm off balance in a lot of ways because of an old back injury. But I remember when we were talking about flat feet on the phone, and I was like, in my head, I'm like, oh, I'm lucky I don't have flat feet. That sounds fucked. Then we get off the phone, I'm like, I have flat feet.
Yeah.
I've got fucking flat feet.
They're just like that. They got nothing. Yeah. Yeah. They say it's genetic, and it's like perfectly normal. Dude, it's not normal. Every person I've talked to with flat feet have a bad back. Every person.
I think it could be maybe genetic in like certain.
I think it's only a theory, but you know when your parents help you too much to walk? Yeah, because that's the first point. You should be walking all by yourself. So I have a lot of bad habits of like, I'll get up on my good foot. So what I do now is I get up on my bad foot and I make sure I use my toes doing that. Instead of not doing this, you're kind of like not using your toes. And you're meant to use your toes, grip the ground, and do what you need. But I realized that when I'm standing, I lean on one leg. I lean on my good leg. Yeah. And then you can lock. You shouldn't be locking your knee either. Then you put all the pressure through your kneecap.
And it's also important, like what people do for work. If someone's at work and they sit down a lot like this, hunched over, your mouth's open, you're hunched over. Imagine that. Like, I feel sorry for, like, we both spend a tremendous amount of time on the computer, but we're very aware of like posture because you're doing it for a tremendous amount of time.
Yeah.
And just like that, hunched over.
Fuck and then on top of that, you don't have your tongue.
Yeah.
Holding your, like, I've got years of like fixing to do my posture. I'm just starting with fixing mine.
Stretching. When I hear David Goggins, he goes, I stretch for 2 hours every day. I'm like, fucking, I know the benefits of stretching. I know it can genuinely change your life because he says, he's like, if there's anything that's changed my life, it's stretching. And I get that. I actually get it because when I stretch, I feel so much better.
Yeah.
Like my body is being a body again. Like not just a rigid.
That's what I said to you. Wake up, do stretching.
Yeah.
And I find when I don't do it in the morning, I'm more tight. So I think you can tighten up in your sleep, weirdly enough.
Oh, big time. That's why I don't stretch in the morning usually, because I'm trying to avoid it because I know how tight I am in the morning.
Well, that's the uncomfortableness.
Exactly. And I'm trying to avoid that.
Weakness.
Exactly. I'll admit it. And I'm trying to, that's what we're talking about.
Well, you can't say, when you say you're trying, you just go, I'm going to do it.
Exactly.
Hold yourself damn accountable for it.
Big time.
I'm going to do it.
Definitely.
It's like, if you're, I used to say that a lot, be like, I'm trying. You just, it's cop out.
It is a cop out.
It's cop out, man. Gotta be, I will do it.
I'm almost embarrassed if I sound like a cop out. Like I hate when I say this to people, I go, everything that's happened in your existence is all your fault. Everything.
Yeah.
Oh, you went through a divorce? Your fault. Oh, you lost your job. Your friend fucking punched you in the face. All your fault. Because you put yourself in a position to have that happen. Okay,
you can't put
no.
a blanket statement on.
No, okay, let me make
Not
it more
necessarily.
clear. Everything in life, if we use this analogy visually, that everything in life is a pathway. You make one micro decision, you're going on that pathway, and there's trillions of pathways. If I make that micro decision to hang out with this person tonight, that takes me down a pathway. And then I continue to hang out with that person. I go down another pathway because the next weekend I find out they smoke meth. And then I go down another pathway. And then I find out their friends do. And then I get caught up in that. And before I know it, I'm so off course that I'm now about to contemplate whether I want to smoke meth. And it's all because of that one decision. Oh, tomorrow, next weekend, I'm going to hang out with this person to switch it up. And it's like, it's all your fault. You put yourself in a position to be vulnerable to such events.
And it's a certain neediness of acceptance, right? And being alone. You could be alone and not do the meth because essentially, like, you would be like, well, I'm going and these people are bad influences and they're doing all these things. Like, I've had friends like that also, and I distance myself from those people because I know that no, I'm not doing that stuff because it's gonna bleed into your life, and I've seen what it does to people. Right?
Oh man, we were talking about this the other night. That meth, like I've had like people that I know from meth like commit suicide. Like if there's one drug that gets people more than others, it's smoking ice. It changes their biology. Like they become a different human.
Brain.
There's guys that like
totally
I went to school with, and I would consider a friend, and I hadn't seen for a year. They did a year of meth. Their vibe, everything about them is different. They're snaky. They're weak. They're drawn. They're wanting things. They're looking for a want. Like, what can I benefit from this person? How can this person benefit me? Whether that means stealing off them, being in an environment where I can access more resources, like not in a positive way either. It changes people, man.
Steal from your parents.
100%.
Yeah.
Yep.
Steal from your parents. Steal from family members. You do crap.
Big time.
My brother was that type of person, man. And when my brother is still going through it, and I went back to see him, and essentially he's like, "How you going?" I'm like, "What?" Like, that's my brother.
Was he
like,
doing meth?
He's always been doing it, right? How you going? And like, he never sounded so Australian. Like, he's just changed, morphed into someone different. And I was just like, holy shit. Like, I don't think that's my brother anymore. But I still recognize him. I still know who that person is. It feels like my brother. But they've changed so much, just like you were saying, that it really changes who you are. And man, it's a like devastating thing.
Super scary.
Yeah.
I know one guy in particular. He was a friend of mine. We went to high school together. Just out of high school. So what were we, like 18? He started smoking meth. This was a guy that I would look up to. He was super athletic. He just seemed to, he was one of them guys that would just win. Everything he'd done, he was a winner.
Has it all.
He has it all. He started smoking meth. I remember when he started as well. He got a girlfriend, a really nice, innocent girlfriend. Got her to smoking meth. To this day, he's been in and out of jail. He's the definition of a fuck up. He's gone. He's done for.
Yeah.
He's done for. And this was a guy, I remember, you were a winner. Like, he was a winner. And fucking now they've got kids, they've got crack kids, they don't care about the kids. The chick is gone nuts. This most innocent girlfriend that he had is cooked. She's done for.
Yeah.
And there's no returning now. That's a really sad thing. Like, they're at a level now. Obviously you can return to an extent, but just an extent. They won't. Then they're so far gone that he will never be that winner again.
You chased it too much. It's chasing pleasure. And that's why the whole, like, I cut everything because I'm going to be like, well, I've always chased pleasure a little bit in a way for like every, that's what I was saying. Like on the weekend, you feel like you have to go out. I don't have that feeling anymore. Right? You know, when the weekend comes and you have that kind of universal feeling like, let's go out and do something. You know what I'm like? Do I need to do some work? Do I want to spend some time with some friends? I make that choice. Am I spending too much time with work? It could be on Monday that I do that. Who cares, right? There's no definition of what the weekend means to me anymore. It's that pleasure point.
Right.
So, man, I think that's the way you got to start thinking about
Definitely.
stuff.
And to be honest, man, that's why I like appreciate like the friendship with you, because I know how important it is to have the right influences being friends in your life. Because like I was saying before about the idea of pathways, even advice can take you down a pathway.
Yeah.
If your advice has essentially taken me down a pathway and it's a more positive pathway, but if you were giving me negative advice and I didn't realize and you're just a shitty friend, whether I believe it or not, that's taking me down another pathway.
Yeah.
And not a positive one. That's why it's so important to fucking have good mates.
The bad influences. I mean, like if you hanged around that meth guy, right? I mean, you self.
I did
slipping.
I did. This is so gross, but I did when I was 17 or 18. I was a disaster of like a young guy, but I started hanging out with him. I did it as well. He got me to smoke meth one night. I did it, and it made me feel so strange. I ended up riding a bicycle home, which was literally about, I don't know, 15 kilometers.
Yeah.
I rode a bike for 15 kilometers.
That's crazy.
Because I was on meth. I was an 18-year-old kid on meth. And I only did that once. But that just made me realize I forgot about that. I nearly got sucked into it with him.
Was it your best bike ride ever?
Dude, it was incredible. I was ready to just keep going. But yeah, I nearly got sucked in. That's crazy. I could have got sucked in. I could have gone down that path.
Yeah. Yeah, you got to watch it. It's the influence of, you know, like even like fitness and doing stuff like that. When I was in bodybuilding, I thought, I always knew there's a, you know, in fitness and there is the vanity point. But I always hated it, but I was pursuing it. How does that work? Right. And I expected to pursue people who were also equally in that type of area.
Yeah.
Man, it's like, you know how they say everything is like fleeting and there's no point in trying to hold on. There's no point in holding on, but you don't let go. You don't let go of all the little stuff you're doing. But yeah, you getting swept up in things, you really need to, like you said, you realized at that point very early and got yourself out of it before. And plus, I think you said your brother had issues with that. And so you could see you repeating the same mistake.
Yeah, big time.
Yeah.
And sometimes I think that I'm like, I wonder if I didn't have a chaotic upbringing or I wasn't exposed to chaos, if I would have made the wrong decisions. Because I can be in a position where the pure definition of chaos is amongst me and I can say no because I know what that equals. And I can only do that based on past experiences. And it makes me wonder, maybe what if I had like a chill as upbringing? Would I make bad decisions? And that's kind of scary.
It was like, I mean, you've heard of David Goggins' story, right? Like he had a terrible upbringing. And it makes you question, like, it sounds bad, but are the strongest people gone through the most?
It seems like it.
Yeah.
It almost seems like it, which is, if I have kids, I'm going to have to fucking start pulling out the whip, like start belting them and fucking getting them addicted to meth. And like,
I think, you know what it is? It's not that, right? It's actually looking at it and going, okay, for you teaching the kids, you can't tell anyone what to do. You can only teach, like, you can only say stuff and hopefully they absorb it. And you can't be like forceful or like emotional the way you teach it. You can't beat your kids. I mean, that will look.
You could end up in jail, but again, that'll fuck them up and they'll learn.
It will. And I'm pretty sure you can make a really strong person without having to do any of those things. That's why those things are illegal, right? And they are illegal. Like my brothers got beaten by my dad. Like, but the thing is, he stopped. He realized that wasn't a good thing, right? I'm not sure if you got any of that stuff growing up. Yeah,
for sure.
It's just like the whole, like, you did something bad, let me hit you, and it's like,
yeah, that's one way. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
But it's more like the idea of, like, I think that's why you hear like people that are rich that have kids and they're kind of switched on. They're aware of that concept that my kids, they're fucking essentially privileged. Yeah. And they make, I think, an effort to not allow the kids any access to their money, to their resources. Like, if you want it, work. And that's probably the smart thing to do.
Yeah.
Because if they didn't have to, they're not going to learn any valuable lessons.
No.
And what are you going to be dead? How long do we live for? 80 years?
Yeah. Maybe longer. I mean,
do some shit. If I didn't have access to the struggles, I wouldn't be aware of a lot of the things I'm aware of, which is Like I think a lot about the stuff beyond just being a human, like space for one.
Space.
Space. The
Space?
thing that's fucking up there that no one really cares about. I'm obsessed.
I think about space all the time.
Okay. Space, consciousness, psychedelics, like all the things that are beyond just us sitting here right now being human because okay, this is the thing. Nothing makes sense, so it's worth questioning what doesn't make sense. Let's go even deeper. I know at the entrance of a fucking black hole in space, it's called the event horizon. Scientifically, the theory based off science of what we understand is that time slows down. Oh, you mean time can fucking slow down? You mean there's a hole in space that sucks planets into it and it disappears? Okay, well, I'm going to question other things then because that makes absolutely no sense to the logic that I understand.
Yeah.
So if that's a reality, what else is a reality? Because I'm sure there's more.
Well, I mean, they have the theory of this is all not like this is all a computer construction.
The more I think about it, the more it makes sense.
I mean, we live in a pretty crazy time. We go crazy at times.
Even
you could say that we have bad programming. I don't know. Like it's to keep. It's all simulation, maybe. Right?
Well,
maybe it's simulation.
Maybe even the idea of like me being consciously aware that we're here right now at this table. That's the idea of separating your conscious awareness from this vessel, this body.
Yeah.
Like the idea, the Matrix. You sit in a chair. They plug in to the back of your head, extracts your consciousness, and puts it somewhere else. So your awareness is now somewhere else. Your vessel's just chilling there. That's interesting, and that almost makes sense. If scientists got to a point where they understood how to extract awareness, we would live forever. We would get whatever we want. I was actually having this conversation with
pleasure.
Dude, I was having this conversation with my ex-girlfriend the other day because we were going, surely there'll be the other month. I was stoned as fuck, but we were going, if there was a way to change people's faces like digital, like if we go, okay, so you want this nose? Sweet. And then you like changed it. But I was like, how would you be able to do that? And then I thought maybe a hologram, but a hologram doesn't make sense. You can't have a hologram on your face. And I go, well, maybe if there was a way to extract your awareness, put it into an alternative reality, you're aware into this alternative reality, and then you can pick whatever you want. I want this nose, I want this fucking whatever. And that's the idea of the Matrix where like they can download a martial art.
Yeah.
That's gangster.
And there was a thing in the Matrix where they made the perfect world. I'm not sure if you remember that part. And people rejected it.
Oh, I have to go back and watch it. It's such an incredible movie.
It's like they made the perfect world and people couldn't handle it.
That's interesting.
Interesting, right?
Yeah, it makes sense.
Yeah, like if everything's so perfect, then there's nothing to strive for.
Exactly.
That strive and that pain and all that stuff. It's like if you take that away, I think people go crazy.
That's so cool. I love the fucking Matrix, man.
They've written really well.
One of the best movies ever, if not the best. Yeah. It would have to be. And that's funny, that concept. I was actually talking about this as well, was I think I listened to Jordan Peterson or someone was saying something about the idea of a man, like a relationship with a man and a female is if there's four, on average, if there's four negative, if we communicate and there's four negative, four negative responses between our communication as opposed to one positive, the relationship will end. But if there's 10 positives to one negative, it will also end. It's too positive. There's no challenge. There's no growth in all positivity. And it's the same concept of.
Yeah. Well, we're being a bit like that. We're talking to each other and talking a bit like that. We got negatives and then we got the positives.
100%.
Yeah.
On the way here, I just roasted you for an hour on the way here.
Yeah, I roasted you when I went to
Bro, you roast me 24/7. All you do is roast me.
And I love it.
Yeah.
It's great. We take it and absorb it.
Yeah, exactly. Because if it was all just, oh, you're doing great, man.
Weakness.
I'll be back on the meth. But it's been good having you on here, man.
Yeah.
I think people will like this.
I will hopefully open people's eyes about certain topics and
for sure.
Yeah, look, it's not saying about don't seek pleasures, but be aware of what pleasures you are seeking and how they are guiding you in your life, and also kind of screening you out of actually feeling certain things.
Exactly.
So, yeah,
that's a good message. All right, my man. Peace.
Good. All right. Awesome.